evangelical remedies. Always help. Do not fear. Never despair. Learn insensately. Think profoundly. Meditate more. Speak little. Correct lovingly. Work happily. Direct sensibly. Obey contentedly. Do not complain. Go forward. Observe what is beyond. Look well ahead. Discuss serenely. Shed light. Sow peace. Spread blessing. Struggle and elevate. Be joyful. Live fearlessly. Demonstrate courage. Reveal calmness. Respect everything. Pray confidently. Be watchful. With benevolence. Go forth progressing. Serve today, await tomorrow. Habituate yourself to serenity and strength in the circle of human struggle. Without this conquest, it will be difficult for you to free yourself from the succession of inferior reincarnation.
As we are about to start our study today, present in this ambient where we find ourselves, prepared by those who anticipated us, the spiritual benefactors, all friends, who are constantly helping all of us to evolve and to progress. May we focus our attention in this place where we find ourselves, observing within, embracing us as immortal beings as we all are, loving beings in essence, created by God with love, in order for us to learn to love ourselves, to love others, to love life as the Creator. With our hearts, with gratitude for everything and everyone in our existences, as learners of ourselves as we all are in the universe. May we all feel welcome, ourselves and all of those in spirit, our brothers and sisters in humanity. God loves us all. May our friend and brother Jesus bless us all with his light, his love, and his peace. And united under his name, as children of God, as we all are, with our hearts with joy for these unique and special moments in our lives, we start our study today. So be it. May we all feel welcomed in this ambient and for our studies as we are studying together the Spirit's book. We are all students and learners of Spiritism, which brings the natural laws of life or of the universe, which are God's laws. We are on the fourth part of the Spirit's book and the chapter Hopes and Consolations. And we still carry on today in the question 933 in relation to relative happiness and unhappiness. When we think about the chapter Hopes and Consolations, we are also reminded within lines that we are all immortal beings created by God. We are learning throughout many, many centuries already, and the hopes and consolations that we find through the different questions in the Spirit's book in this chapter refer to our existence in the present and also our future existence. So whatever experience we go through, even if they are hardships that we go, challenges which is so natural for us, we all always find consolation that they are experiences that go through gradually, and we learn, and they will fade away as we learn. And that is quite consoling, even if we go through hardships or challenges, that we all are as learners as we are. We finished last week the question 932. Just for us to situate ourselves, I will read it again, but we will carry on the next one. Why do the wicked of this world usually exert a great influence over the good ones? And the enlightened spirits answered, because the good ones are not assertive. The wicked are scheming and daring, whereas the good are timid. The moment they want to, the latter will prevail. Here the enlightened spirits are reminding us, for all of us, to take the position very clearly, to do good and not in a timid way, to be more assertive, more stronger, firmer in doing more good. And that in that way, if each one of us does it, we are increasing the waves and the beings who are involved in this proposal for goodness on earth, for us and also those who are in spirit here. And all of us are invited. So we carry on today on question 933. So the question is, if people are usually the artisans of their material sufferings, are they also the artisans of their mental sufferings? Let's explore the question first. How do we understand the question today? Surely we are all learning. Later on, in different stages, we may have a different understanding. But how does it come to us today? What is the question about? How do we understand it if we were to say it in our own words, which could also help others to understand it?
If people made their material suffer, their suffering in earth, they also made their mental suffering.
Okay, so precisely, if people who are people, us who are incarnated again, if people usually are the artisans of their material suffering, who usually are responsible for their material suffering, are also they responsible for their mental suffering? Can we see the two differences? Material sufferings and mental sufferings. What do we think before we read the answer what the enlightened spirits teach us? What do we understand about material sufferings for us who are reincarnated on earth?
Our material world. Mental suffering is about the development of the spirit.
Okay, and what kind of examples do we have regarding material sufferings? What could be an experience for a reincarnated spirit on a material level?
I don't have the very big house I want. I cannot have the very brand new car I want.
If I may be lacking money,
Yes.
financial resources, okay, or I may be short in financial resources, that could be. What else?
Missing a part of the body.
If I miss a part of the body, yes. If I lose the job, could that also be? Yeah. And mental sufferings? What comes to our minds here?
Depression.
Depression.
Anxiety.
The anxiety. We go through the answer now, what the spirits are telling us. Even more so, because their material sufferings are sometimes independent of their will, while wounding pride, frustrating ambition, avaricious anxieties, envy, jealousy, in short, all the passions comprise the torments of the soul. So now that we read what the enlightened beings are teaching us, how is this answer coming to us? Why do they say here? Because their material sufferings are sometimes independent of their will.
Sometimes we learn that to come without something because we are doing the past, or we made something in the past that we are not allowed to have something material here.
Okay, so I may be lacking this or that on a material level, but as a mechanism of learning, of course, while I'm in the body, I may not remember that, but I may have agreed with that. Could also be a different experience, which is independent of our view. When I'm working and I may be dismissed, I may lose my job because I don't have control of that. Is that making sense? That also could have an impact on us. And as more immature spiritually we are, more we may suffer because we may have difficulty in accepting reality. We may find it challenging to adapt within the new reality. Because sometimes we bring some rigid ways of thinking and we think life is just in that way. Is that making sense? And then we carry on by wounding pride. What do we understand about that? Now we enter into the mental sufferings, where the spirits are helping us to get to know ourselves and how we can help us to overcome these passions, as they say. How do we suffer mentally through our pride?
From things we want to control and we cannot, so we're suffering because we think we are better than others.
Okay, correct. So the pride is that inner passion from the ego state of mind that we consider ourselves more than we actually are, because we are lacking humility. And in that way we can suffer if we see someone who is, let's say, progressing more than us, or if we are not considered in the way that we think we should because of our pride that we bring within. So how do we overcome these mental sufferings regarding pride? Developing humbleness and becoming more charitable towards ourselves and others. Because we are all valuable beings in the universe, even in the level where we are, doesn't matter. That is what we need to ingrain in our minds, that we are valuable beings, that we don't need to masquerade ourselves. We don't need to try to be who we aren't, because that brings sufferings on the mental level. And then they carry on, frustrating ambition. How is that present in our society, within ourselves? Frustrating ambition. Which kind of examples do we have?
To have a better job, better material things,
Okay.
or even better body, or things like that.
So where would be our focus when we are suffering from frustrating ambition?
Outside.
Outside us, and based on the appearances and based on having things, or having a perfect body, because the vanity is quite huge together here, yes? And of course that causes ambition, that causes mental sufferings as well. Frustration, ambition. Avaricious anxieties. That is quite current in these days, in society where we live, isn't it? What do we understand about avaricious anxiety? Is that any kind of anxiety?
I think it's the kind of take everything to be afraid that you're not going to have in the future.
Okay, so what would be behind us through that behavior? To make sure that I save everything so that it's not missing in the future. The control, but the control on the ego state of mind, the little me, the part of us which is underdeveloped in relation to the natural laws of life. Because when we develop faith, we will overcome this shortcoming or this lack of faith that we bring, and consider feeling secure when we have things or when we have someone. But faith in reality helps us to reduce the anxiety, understanding that in life everything is transitory, which is very challenging for us, because we feel safe when we have a home, we feel safe if we have a partner, we feel safe if we have this or that. But in reality, life is change, and change means change. Today, this situation may be part of our lives, tomorrow things can change. If I'm in a relationship with children or not, the partner could die in any moment, and that's it. And then I'm invited to carry on my journey, my learning with myself. So it's very important that we develop values which correspond universal values, because then we will reduce our anxiety, and we will live more calmly, more balanced in relation to the experiences that we attract as learners in order to learn what we haven't learned. Is that clear? And then envy and jealousy, which is also part of mental sufferings. Which kind of examples do we have that the envy and jealousy manifests through our behavior in society?
I want the position of another person.
Okay, envy where the other person is, let's say in the office, and I do everything what I can to get rid of that person. If I need to slander, gossip, or whatever I do, isn't it? That is really showing us the soul's torments. So how do we heal those parts? Let's imagine, how do people heal these aspects? How do we get rid of those illusions?
As you said before, everything is a moment in nerve. It's not something that you're going to carry on forever.
Okay.
So maybe if I accept who I am and be grateful with everything I have, instead of looking what others have.
Okay, correct. And where do we start to work on this process? Imagine that I'm the person who is very envious, the one that is in front of me, and I'm really mentally disturbed. And now you are giving me the diagnosis, yeah? And where do I start to do that? Where do I start to work on myself to get rid of envy and jealousy?
In my mind.
In my mind. In which way?
Um,
What do I need to become aware of?
what I feel.
What I think and what I feel. I need to, through self-awareness, which the studies are helping us to become more aware, to become aware of this illusion, of this passion, of this inner torment, and then freely choose now to re-educate my thinking, which means to change, to upgrade my belief systems, and choose on the behavioral level to also live accepting the position that I am, and yes, put effort into to promote myself, but in an honest way, in a loyal way, because we can and we need to promote ourselves as people, but not in order to overcome others, or neither to become others, because it's impossible, neither to hurt others. Is that clear? In short, all the passions comprise the torments of the soul, as we went through. Of course, here they mention some of them, but all the passions, all the illusions that we bring from our previous experiences, either from this existence or from others, now we are granted with the possibility for us to re-educate ourselves in a loving way and freely choosing, spontaneously choosing to change what is not suitable to us, what brings sufferings to us, because we are here in a hospital in order to help to heal ourselves. Anybody else? Are we agree with that? Let's move on then. Now, this question has long comments as we go through. Faiz, would you like to read it for us? I think we read bit by bit and then we explore. It's easier for us.
Okay.
Yeah?
Envy and jealousy. Happy are they who do not know those two voracious wounds.
Let's explore that. Are the words of the enlightened beings. Envy and jealousy. And they put exclamation. Why is that?
I think it's to show the impact that they have in our lives.
How negative they are.
Yeah.
How they impact us in a negative way. Really, it's almost like stopping in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
Pay attention, yes. And then as you read, happy are they who do not know those two voracious wounds. What do we understand?
Well, to me, because they bring so much distractions to our lives, it's very, when you envy or when you're jealous of something, you're comparing someone's life to yours, and you always think, I could have that, why don't I have that? Or why am I not on his place or her place? Why don't I earn as much as they? I work as hard, or maybe I think I work even harder, but I'm not there. And you start not being grateful to what you have, and being unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think, when they say happy are they who do not know those voracious wounds, because this is kind of eating you from inside, isn't it?
This is what we are under the mental afflictions. It's
And
really-
whatever you do, whenever you go, you're always going to be unhappy because you always want what someone else has, not what you have.
So we, in that state of mind, we are not aware that the cause of our unhappiness is within the way that we relate with us in relation to others. Can we say that? You mentioned something when you said, well, I may be working harder and getting less money than the other. Can that happen in life?
I think
Can that
that's
happen that we may find ourselves as immortal beings through a new reincarnation, working really hard, and perhaps somebody else is very easy going and gets much more money? Can that happen?
Yeah,
Yes. Why?
because they have merit to do it now.
Precisely, because when we look at it from only this existence, we may think that is unjust. But when we analyze ourselves as immortal beings who have been already in many, many centuries of experiences, sometimes is exactly what I came back now to do, to learn the lessons. And again, that is not punishment. That is important for us to understand. It's a re-education process. Perhaps previously I may have a very easy job, and I explored a lot. I don't use the time properly. I use the money not wisely, and now I need that experience to go through. And that is very hopeful and consoling, as the title of the chapter is, because we find understandings, reasons why sometimes we go through certain experiences, and they are always transitory. Are we clear on this first? Now moving on to the next one. Carry on to this.
Wherever envy and jealousy exist, there can be no calm, no repose.
Why?
Again, I think it's what it's eating you in there. It's all that psychic, mental disturbance. You can't be calm. You can't be in peace. You always want more. You always nothing you get or nothing you have is going to make you happy.
Yes, you are
Because you're always looking at the next door.
Precisely. And when you reach that point, you are not happy either, because you're not happy internally, then you want more. And in that way, it's almost like you are going beyond sometimes your own limits. And surely, the mental disturbances just will increase. There is some point that came to my mind now in relation to the mental disturbances when you mentioned, if we are in this state of mind, of the mental disturbance, regarding jealousy and envy, and we cannot have mental calmness, is that state of mind only within us? Are we alone in that state of mind? Why not?
Because we attract what we're seeing.
Okay, we attract the way that we think. What else?
We're never alone.
We are never alone. That's very good, very hopeful, very consoling. That we are always communicating with other brothers and sisters in humanity, in the universe, according our belief systems. There is now one aspect that we need to look, isn't it? As we are always communicating, if we are conscious of not when we think, and we are constantly interacting with others in the universe, what do we need to be aware?
What are we communicating?
What are we thinking? What we are communicating? If it's envy and jealousy, with whom will we connected? With the same spirits, with the same entities, and there this mental disturbance could even be increased. Because we become like magnets, we attract other beings according to our mental state, and then our own disturbances will also be intensified by those who are with us mentally. But it's our responsibility. Why is it our responsibility?
Because it's what we are thinking, not others. We're not responsible for what others are thinking or doing. It's what I am doing.
So the key word here is responsibility. And responsibility is connected with inner freedom, the faculty of freedom that God gave us since our creation. And now we are invited to develop it together with be responsible and choosing what we feed ourselves mentally. And we have that inner autonomy. If you haven't learned, we can learn to activate and stimulate that. It's part of our re-education process. And in that way, as more as we re-educate or change our belief system in a constructive way according to the natural values in the universe, we will still be communicating in the universe. We still will be attracting other beings, but now the good ones. Those who are also thinking good, those who are also willing goodness, and there will also impact us mentally in bringing calmness, stability mentally.
I'm thinking about this, and I think it's probably quite challenging when you find yourself in that circle of being envy and jealous, and more and more and more and more. First is to realize that you are in that process, and then is to re-educate yourselves. It's probably quite challenging.
It can be very challenging if we are honest with ourselves. Why? Why can it be sometimes very challenging?
Well, I think it's because we are in that habit for a long time, and that's our comfort zone. That's how we know how to act, what to think, what to do. And then also because, like you said, we're not alone. There's other people like making that thing even bigger, let's say.
Yes.
So I think anything that you do for a long time can be difficult to change.
Why? Because it becomes a habit.
Habit.
As more as we train, and we all trained ourselves in previous existences and even in this one, and if it is in a correct way, we created habits without being conscious. We conditioned ourselves. And as more as we, conscious or unconscious, are feeding the negative circle, mentally speaking, that will intensify. And also with those who are with us, those who don't want us to progress, those who don't want to are not happy for us, then they also have some ascendings over us because we still allow it. We allow it because we still have pleasure in being angry and jealous. The moment that we choose now, and now I'm aware, now I choose in a conscious level to be more responsible with my evolution in the universe, and I choose now to stand back by those conditions. I will decondition myself from those habits. Is that making sense? So even if it's challenging, don't give up. Insist, persist, repeat all of us on daily basis, because on daily basis we have possibilities for us to train ourselves. Our evolution happens always in the present of every moment in our lives. Clear so far? Would you carry on with these things?
For those who suffer from these maladies, the objects of their longings, their hatred, and their spite appear before them like ghosts, which do not leave them in peace, and which pursue them even in their sleep.
Okay. What comes to our minds now by the teachings of the Enlightened Spirits as we continue to explore the question, if people are usually the artisans of their material sufferings, are they also the artisans of their mental sufferings? What came to your mind? Can you do it?
The spirits treat the sufferings as illness. So they say it's something that we create and just generate more hate and things like that in this. You're not going to have peace in
Correct.
mind.
Okay, and when we look within hate, what are the roots of hate in our psyche? What are the causes? Why do we hate? Not us, of course, people out there, yes. But why do people hate? What is the cause of? Ego? General, specific.
Because we don't know how to love.
We don't know how to love, for sure. And what did we learn in order to hate? What did we exercise in our psyche? Which we weren't created by God in that way. What is it when we hate? Think about it. Warm up.
What comes to me is the irresponsibility, because I could I put the blame on others and on other things, in God even, for the things that I've chosen wrongly. And for the hell I'm going through, I blame others and the situation and things, and I don't take responsibility for changing
Correct.
or for looking onto them in the position they are, and then accepting that that is the choices I've made, and now I can choose different.
Okay.
So I hate others and I hate situations and I hate things because I don't want to look at them as what they are. They favoring me to be strong and challenge and change what I'm able to change now. Because if I'm not able, the situation won't come along to me. I can be in one position for centuries. If I'm not ready, I won't be having the opportunity. Once the opportunity comes to me, be it a person or a situation or something within me, it's because I'm able to go through it. Like it says that it's my own help, I create it. Because as I'm living that inside me, it's always in my mind and I attract the situations.
But
the
why
people.
did we develop hate as we haven't been created by God in that way?
Ignorance.
Ignorance, through our ignorance regarding the natural laws. What else? Would I be right in saying pride and selfishness? Pride and selfishness, yes. That is the roots of all of our passions and illusions that we still are working on and freeing ourselves. But it's that illusion of thinking that we are better than others, and we hate and we think we're very strong in the past as we did, showing our primitive state of mind. Because when we learn really to free ourselves from this primitive state of mind, we will understand that we are all brothers and sisters in humanity. We really will let go. And we freely choose not to hate anymore because we understand the consequences in our lives when we hold those passions within. It's a torment, mental afflictions. Illnesses sometimes comes as a consequence on the physical level, or because of the deterioration on the mental and emotional level already. So as more as we understand that, and we choose now to, let's say, redirect ourselves in our evolution pathway, we choose the opposite, to heal ourselves from hate, which is love, which starts by developing humbleness and charity. Humbleness, we need to learn as a free choice to understand that humbleness is not weakness. When we hate, we have those values distorted in our psyche. Through our ignorance, through our primitiveness, through our aggressiveness, we think that we are strong when we hate, when we fight, when we kill. No, that is weakness. That is weakness. That shows lack of self-love. We bring the seed of love from God within, but it's awaiting for us to stimulate that. So we are now with the opportunity for us to heal ourselves from eventual hate that we may bring with us. Can we move on? Thais, would you carry on first?
Envious and jealous individuals live in a continual feverish state. Is that a desirable situation? Can you understand that with such passions, people create intentional punishments for themselves, and that the earth becomes a true hell for them?
What comes to our minds now, the last phrase of this part? The spirits are giving us some questions to reflect, isn't it? What would you say?
I was going to say it's important for us to learn how to be humble and charity, isn't it? Because you don't want to live in the hell. You want a peace, and you want to just, like you said, learn to let it go, and not to be rebellion, and accept things and learn from them. And yeah,
Tell me, Thais, tell me, I have someone who really hates me. What do I do? Regarding what I learned.
I think I was actually discussing about this week because I have someone that really hates me, and it used to bother me. It used to bother me a lot because I was like, well, but what did I do? But I learned to let it go because I don't hate her, and I can't control what she feels about me, but I can control what I feel about her. So I just, and I felt so easy when I actually learned just let it go.
Why would I choose to let go?
because it's not what I feel, it's what she feels. I can't do anything about. I can't control.
Okay,
what she
apart from
feels.
that, we cannot control what people feel and think and do and talk and whatever. What else? What else?
Gives me peace as well.
Okay,
Because if I lose myself in trying to please someone else, then I will be in a state that I'm around. It's like going
in a circle,
in a
vicious
circle,
circle.
in a vicious circle, trying to find what I did and trying to do different, something that is about someone else's feeling or thoughts that may not have something to do with me. The person just used me to put her hatred. But
To project.
To project.
Okay,
And if I don't look in me, how I am and how I'm into relation to that, because as she said, I need to work out on accepting it and wishing the best to the person and let it go.
why would I do that?
Because I need to take care of myself, I need to
Why?
look after me and to love.
Why?
I can only love me and the other person.
Why?
And that is what is going to reflect back.
Why? Why would we choose to, you are correct. Instead of using my time and energy, my vitality, to choose to think, oh, why, and get disturbed mentally as well as starting and disturbed, why? Then we would choose now to really look within and
What
try.
comes to my mind is a drip of water. The long time drips on the same place, it makes a hole in the
But
stone.
why would we choose
Because
that? As
it
we,
would reach the person at some point. It will help to
it's still the
dissolve
focus on us. A part that we cannot have control. Why? What would be another reason that we would choose to do good for us and others, to love us and let go? Why?
To evolve.
Yes, because we are looking at the experience just here and now, isn't it?
Yeah.
We see in a very narrow-minded, then we want to fight again the old egoistic power. No, we are learning to be wise. We are learning to develop our free will, consider that we are not just a physical body that is transitory. I'm working towards my evolution. I'm working towards my happiness. We are within the title happiness and relative happiness and unhappiness. I want to be happy in future. Future can be the next moment, next day, next month, that I have peace of mind in also the other existences. Is that making sense?
And someone who hates me can be someone that I made something really bad in the
Could
past.
also, that is another point that we need to
I also
consider.
need to forgive.
Yes. Not I have to, I choose to now understand it. That is another very valid point. Because we are not, let's say, the way that we present us in this physical environment now, we are beings from centuries and centuries of primitive states of living, where we are coming from, as we learn within Spiritism. And there is nothing wrong. We need to understand our evolution pathway. What is wrong when we reach the rational level and we kept on intentionally hating others, and we may do that is wrong. But yes, we could have harmed others, and we all did in the past, unfortunately, through our ignorance and pride and selfishness. And now that person may not remind us there and then, but on the emotional memory, the experience is here. And then we see the face is not equal, but the communication on the emotional level is going on. So whatever comes up in our existences in this period, let's address it within, and let's choose to love us, and let's choose to make peace with us in relation to God. Because our evolution is in relation to our relationship with God. And that we all can do. And that brings peace of mind. And all of us, we all did mistakes. Us who are incarnate, those who are in the spirit with us, we feel sorry for our own ignorance. But we also invest now in moving forward and not blaming ourselves and not blaming others, but always learning from the mistakes, because the learning process is do wrong, and then sometimes the pain and suffering comes because we still find it difficult to evolve through love. Then we realize, wait a minute, what's going on? Let's me look within, and let's me address it and be patient, be tolerant, loving with myself, take the lesson, exercise, move forward. That is what God wants us to do, and not to punish us, and neither to disturb us.
I still get myself lost sometimes on relating with other people, because every time I meet someone new, I have the impression they have an image of me, and either they come to me, let's say, like with 7 stones in the hands, and the guard armed up, or they come to me like I'm some saint, and they cherish me. And then I try to prove myself how I am. I used to be very, very straightforward on showing how I am and who I am. And that sometimes gained the people who was, ready to fight me to like, oh, she's just like me, so let's get along. But then they form an image of me, of you, and they want you to comply with that. And when you don't, they get upset. And then I get myself lost trying to get it to go up to their expectations. And I still learning that I can't do that. I need to go up to my expectations because I can't fill in to others' expectation of me, even if it's good. Because I may frustrate myself trying to reach to that point that I'm not ready for. And then it's not helpful because I go into the blame circle and then I keep, saying, oh, but I should have known, I should have done, I should. And then I waste energy.
So what is the quickest way to rescue ourselves in those moments?
For me, it's been helping to accept this is how I am now. I am in the process of changing. It will take time. And if the other one cannot accept this, I can't change what they feel, but I need to trust.
So what is life inviting me to develop in these cases?
For me, it's patience.
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Because when you said the order is not changing, what life is inviting us to develop is acceptance. Giving the order the right to be as they are, because at the end of the day, as our journey refers to us and God, for the order as well. And we are not here to control others. So we can develop acceptance, tolerance, as you mentioned as well. So we flexibilize ourselves. But the main point in these moments when we realize that may come the hate that we are here or anger or whatever it is bring the focus back to us. What is the purpose of mind reincarnation? Did I come back again to hate? Did I come back again to disturb others? No. We have that answer very clearly. I came back to train my psyche with love, to train my psyche with the reference of fraternity, of solidarity. And then I need to address all of those passions as we are referring here. And we are choosing to use our time and constantly focusing back, using even prayer that helps us to fortify, to get, to be in charge of the old me and be really sustain the new ways that we are choosing now consciously to re-educate and invest in our time here and now. And the rest, as you said, trust the process, because we are not God. God is in charge of the rest. Can we move forward? Is that clear? Okay. We still are within the note of the question 933. Vladimir, would you like to start to read for us, please?
Many expressions symbolically represent the effect of different passions. We say, puffed up with pride, dying of envy, bursting with jealousy, or spite, etc.
Let's see up to here, because it's quite long. What comes to our minds with this first part of the note? When we read, when we heard.
Now that we learn already, it's kind of made shivering because we think that puffed up with pride is good thing, and it's not. So I don't know, it's kind of making me shivering, like how will we stay in this state of mind for so long?
And how we hurt ourselves for so long as a consequence. Because we hurt ourselves. And we still hurt ourselves if we keep on doing that. Even if I may think that it's okay, but we are hurting ourselves, we are causing sufferings. And surely we are causing unhappiness for us.
That made me think on the last paragraph from
The previous one?
From the question, where he says, can you go back?
Go back, yes. Is that the way?
When the Spiritist said, can't you understand that with such passions, people create intentional punishments for themselves, and that the earth becomes a true hell for them? It sounds like the Spirit is like, how can you not see that? Because you were here with me, and you saw, and you said you were going You went to incarnate, changed, and now you're doing all over again. And it sounds like someone's realizing, can't you see that? Come on.
Yes. And for a long time, sometimes they say to us, 800, we are here for centuries. And really, when we study, if we are developing humbleness, we come to terms, let go. I'm not here to find. No. I don't want to be bigger than others. I want to be bigger than myself. I don't want to be controlling others. I want to learn to control myself. That is what we came to do. Yeah?
And when you come to the beginning, where it says puffed with pride, the way that sociality is, they teach you that you need to be puffed with pride. That's how you show that you are successful. And
how very strong sometimes.
Yes, yeah, and it's difficult because you come back here to change all that, and then since a young age or since you're born, you have your parents telling you that to succeed in life you need this, you need a house, you need a car, you need a profession, you need to go over whoever is in front of you to get there. And then you find inside yourself, no, but I didn't come to do that. And sometimes it wins. And then you're back doing all your old again.
Yes, this
I
is
know that's not the purpose, but it can be.
Yes, you brought a very good point, which the spirits also remind us, because still society is based, the education in society still is based on pride and selfishness, unfortunately. And still we bring that sometimes from our own upbringing. Now, where we are here, we are invited as we are responsible for us. Responsibility means inner freedom. Now that we are having the capacity to think, to reflect about the studies and about ourselves, how our journey was up to here, it's up to us now to change all of that and make a difference from when we become aware of these studies. Make a difference, because we came to make a difference. We came to impact society, to free society from those passions. When we are within a, let's say, family setting, we have children, we are invited by the Creator in the universe for us to help His children to be children, later on the citizens who are bringing the new values and freedom. This is why important to have it. And if we are not as adults, we are also invited to also be through our way of being in these values now, not to expand the pride, but diminish it. Because we all bring pride within ourselves. It's just a different degree. And also dying of envy. How can someone die of envy? Which kind of behaviors are those? I think we may die, because not die in a sense as we may see it, but disincarnate, ill, conflicted, hated others, and thinking that we are strong. We are so illuded. We are so weak from the soul level onwards. So weak, so ill. That is what we find gradually out. And then we are all invited now. Gosh, but how is that? There is a real power in the universe, which is
God.
love, which comes from God. That is the unique power in the universe which moves everything and everyone forward, which is part of the natural law of progress. I don't want to progress, pointless. The law of love, which embraces all of us, is moving. Thank God that is helping us to become better, to become happier as we are studying, to heal ourselves from the wounds that we created for us. And we all have possibilities. It's pointless for us to carry on hurting and disturbing the order in the universe, because when we hate, we do that. When we disturb other people, we are disturbing the order in the universe. Of course, that brings consequences to us. Then we will sooner or later be dealing with unhappiness, with the mental afflictions or disturbances as we are here. But when we choose now to calm down, to let go, to rescue ourselves from ourselves within the proposal of self-love, which comes from God, we are moving forward healthier, calmer. We are restoring ourselves.
When she said, before we incarnate, we made the agreements that I'm going, I want to go through this and that. And then when we hear, we reviewed ourselves with things daily, and then we say, oh, it's because I'm incarnated that I'm behaving this way, because, you know, the physical world has gained over me. And it was so hard for me to understand that that wasn't the case. The case was I had that, and I brought it, and I reflected here where I'm living with the people and situations around me. And that it's only helping me to change how I am, how the state I am in at the moment, to go through this and leave it behind. But then we keep, no, it's because I have this, and it's innate in the body, it's innate in my
What is
life.
that telling about us is if we have that reference internally? It's the body. I'm soul because it's my body. Which kind of view do we have about ourselves? Bodily, isn't it? That's easy. That's easy. Materialistic view, isn't it? Materialistic, bodily. My focus is on the body. I have transcended my vision. Now we are invited to expand our vision, become more aware of our totality as integral beings while we are reincarnated, essentially spirits who have our perispirit or astral body, as we want to call, and we express, manifest ourselves through the physical body. But the tendencies, the wishes, the passions, the old desires, they are not on the body, they are on the perispirit, on the astral body, where the spirit is commanding those aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And once we try at least, you know, with the smallest efforts of gaining over these instincts, gaining over these desires we have, things become lighter.
Of course.
It becomes easier
You
to
know
go.
why?
If we, like the ended, instead of aiming somebody to admire, and I use what the person's doing to learn from it and to push myself forward into doing good and to improving myself, then that becomes healthier.
That is inner wisdom. That is stimulating us. That is learning from others, because we can learn from everyone in front of us. But as long as we focus back to our essence, the self, and put ourselves in a learning position and don't want to be who we are it, but we want to promote ourselves, then we can learn from someone in front of us. Yes.
Once I was reading, and there was a quote from an artist, I don't remember his name, but he was saying that simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. And then he had some pictures to show, and I was like, I never understood that in that way. And then when I started bringing it to everything I live with, like you said, when you think you have to have a diploma, you have to have a house, this car, that thing, and then when you bring all of this, it becomes so heavy to me. And when you think of the simplicity of living in a simple way, then you think like, I don't really need that. That's going to bring me more things to worry with. And if I let go all of that and I give importance to what really is important, then it becomes so easy to go with.
Why it becomes easy in that way?
Because it's natural and it just happened and I can deal with that. I am able to move.
In which way, Frau Denise, in that way that you are presenting, which is the choice that we are choosing to learn? Through pain or through love?
Through love.
Through love. Then it becomes lighter because we already choose to focus on our essence and learn to be obedient according to the natural laws. And then we learn through the pathway of love. This is why it becomes lighter. We can be facing great challenges, but internally we are calm. We have an understanding.
Why don't I understand things in this way all the time? Why some things are so difficult and I like so blind to see it?
There's nothing
Sometimes
to...
when we see, we go like she said before, how I didn't see this before? Why I didn't understand this in this way before?
But there is no reason for us to blame ourselves. Evolution is a process. And we are learning and learning. This is why the spirits invite us to carry on and study, because exactly through these studies, the self-awareness will increase. We become aware. When we are sometimes study like here in this Spiritist Center or any other Spiritist Center, when we are studying, we are not alone. Our benefactors are with us. They are helping us. Oh my God, I never thought in that way. Open a window in our psyche. They are helping us to show. See now? Okay, now that I became aware, I choose to want to bring that into my life, in my living. So if you move on here, Flau, would you like to carry on?
Such pictures states the truth very well. Sometimes jealousy does not have a specific object. There are persons whose nature makes them jealous of anyone who is successful or who has risen above mediocrity. Mediocrity. Even though they have no direct interest in the matter. They are jealous solely because they cannot reach the same level. Everything that seems to be above the common horizon offends them. And if they formed the majority of society, they would want everything to be brought down to their own level. In such cases, jealousy is allied with mediocrity. Mediocrity.
Okay, what comes to our mind now? Apart from what you said. Egoism. Yes. Yes.
Because I have a pot of sugar that says, God, if you can't make me skinny, make my friends fat. It's more or less like that. If I can't be on that level, they can't be either. Bring them down.
Do you think that God will help you in that amount?
I don't know. I'm not. I want my friends to help me.
So what do we learn as immortal beings from this bit here? Comes to our minds.
This comes daily, easy for us. I just had an experience not long ago with my husband. Was trying to get him to understand that he diminished me in some way sometimes. And as I was trying to get him to understand that, I was diminishing him in many ways. And then it's kind of like I listened to myself for 3 or 4 words, and then I looked at him and I said, sorry, I'm so sorry. And he was like, are you expressing yourself and explaining how you are? Are you telling me about something about me? Because you started telling me about me, but now you're talking about you, yeah? And I was like, I never realized that I have this habit, of putting the person down to show something. Because
Right.
before, when I used to do this to make the person worse and make me good, it was easier to recognize. But now, in the way that I want to show that I'm hurt, and then I blame the other person for that was more difficult to understand the way, because it's so covered up, the way we think with that. And then I was like, it was one of these realizations, and I thought, I may do this with everybody else, the other ways, and I need to pay attention. Because sometimes we don't know that.
No, we do it unconsciously because we are more unconscious than conscious. And we are in the pathway of evolution to become conscious of ourselves and make conscious choices from now onwards. When we are within slumber, let's say, this kind of behavior, that shows also the masquerade of the ego, which is pride. We diminish others because we are unconsciously dealing with our low self-esteem, with our inferior complex, and we don't know that. And a psychic needs to compensate. So I need to slander and gossip around other people so that the ego feels good. False. It's illusion. We need to look back on our inferior complex, on our low self-esteem, and to rescue ourselves through self-love.
I think that is hard for us because we don't feel worthy of loving ourselves, of being loved. And
we haven't learned.
Sad. Yeah, because God loves us.
But what did we learn, as we saw in the previous slide? We learned to hate. But we also can learn to love. Joana de Anjos teaches us love can be learned. And doesn't matter how our parents dealt with us, they did the best that they could. We as adults can learn to love ourselves. We starting respecting us, observing our own shadows and choosing to enlighten them, not to project anymore. Learning to take responsibility for our thinking, our feeling, our actions in a loving way. That is self-love that we are developing now within ourselves and flexibilizing ourselves, healing ourselves from within, really. We don't have control of other people, what they think and do. There is a short note here. I think we have time to read it as we go through. People are usually unhappy because of the importance they attach to the things of this world. Vanity, failed ambition, and greed make them unhappy. If they would raise themselves above the narrow circle of the material life, if they would raise their thoughts towards the infinite, which is their destiny, the vicissitudes of human existence would seem pretty and childish, like the sadness of a child who suffers the loss of a toy that represented his or her supreme happiness. Did we perceive the importance that we give to the false aspects of ourselves? This is what they say in between lines, isn't it?
And especially when they give the example of a child, because a child can have a toy that they don't even play much with, and then suddenly that breaks or they lose that and it's the end of the world. And a second later they have something else and they don't remember.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I take things to fix, and once they fix, my son's like, oh, okay, it's okay, I don't play with that anymore. And I'm like,
They forget, yes. As we're coming to the end, there are two pieces of notes. I conclude that with this question today, so we can carry on the next one. Those who only find happiness by satisfying their pride and crude material appetites are unhappy when they cannot satisfy them, whereas those who are frugal feel happy with that with what others would comprise misfortune. And the last bit of this relative happiness and unhappiness is, we are referring here to civilized people because primitives have needs that are much more limited to those they do not have the same reasons for envy and anxiety. Their way of looking at things is much different. In the civilized state, people think about and analyze their unhappiness, and hence they are more affected by it. On the other hand, they can also think about and analyze the means of consolation in the Christian sentiment that gives them the hope of a better future, and in Spiritism, which gives them the certainty of that future. We can later on at home reflect on those aspects, and as we are coming to the end today of our studies regarding happiness and unhappiness, maybe finish it with our prayer. In these enlightened moments in our lives, with all the blessings that every and each one of us here received by our friends in the Spirit, by those who truly and fully love us, those who are with us, inspiring us, that we can move forward, that we can do better, that we can choose to overcome our own shadows, our own reasons for unhappiness. Because life, which comes from God, seen from a higher perspective, brings us all the reasons for us to develop happiness within. Understanding the experiences from a wiser way, deeper and profound perspective. As learners in the universe, nothing happens for no reason, and all reasons always are to promote ourselves, to become better beings, to choose freely and spontaneously, to develop the values of a good person, based in cultivating the virtues. With gratitude in our hearts, we give thanks for all of those who are dedicating their time in helping us. We also give thanks to God, to Jesus, for this new existence that is given to us in this experience, for the opportunity for us to be learning in this Spiritist Center, for the benefactors of this Spiritist Center who are blessing us and helping us, for our own family, for all the experiences in our lives, even those which we cannot qualify challenging, reminding us they are possibilities for us to free ourselves from our own limits as beings essentially of love, which we all are, with our hearts and minds united in goodness, in fraternity, in brotherhood. Thank you, God. Help us to embrace us as real brothers and sisters in humanity, and educate our will according to your will, which is always, always love one another, today and always. So be it.